So, a core goal of Dreamers and Doers is to amplify you and your journeys. And these intimate educational opportunities like today's, filled with insights thanks to your fellow members, are just the perfect opportunity for us to all up-level together. So before we officially begin, I just want to share a bit of background on our esteemed expert today. Margo is a just let some people in. Margo is a social media marketing expert with extensive experience in online advertising and social selling. She helps business leaders develop and implement digital strategies to harness the huge potential offered by social media marketing and social selling to drive lead generation and sales for their businesses. We are so excited to learn from your expertise today, Margo. We know how valuable your time is, and we're just so grateful for you for investing in the Dreamers and Doers Collective in this way. So with that, I will hand it over to you.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Hi, everybody. You'll notice my accent. So I'm in Ireland today, just to sort that out first. I'll go through it in a second. But okay, so quite a challenge to think how to present this today. And it was only when I sat down, I was like, oh, this is kind of different to the normal. So hopefully this will be interesting. I've tried to make it as interesting as possible. It's as much to my life and how I've grown and my background, and I'll go through a time frame in a few slides here. And I've learned a lot. So I'm just showing exactly how I've grown my business to where I am today. And the importance of some elements. And it's titled Beyond Social Media because it's not just social media. I started in social media. I love social media, but I don't spend all my time on social media. So hopefully we're going to cover a lot of stuff today. And I can't wait to, at the end, take questions and just see what you think. And if there's anything new in these slides today, it would be great to hear that. So beyond social media, building your brand and influence. So the big picture, so sales strategy and freedom, because that is what I wanted from my own life. So it's all about freedom. Okay, so a motto that I have and that I believe in, and it's like my elevator pitch. It's like less social media, more sales. We don't need to be stuck to our phones. I have a thing against that, and my kids as well. I plonk them down in front. If they were ever in front of a screen, they were programming. It's not to be mindlessly scrolling, and that's just something deep in my values, So less social, more sales. So how can we achieve freedom through smart social media practices? So today we're going to dive into crafting a stellar social media brand presence and dodging the common social pitfalls. I think that's a good way of kind of approaching it. I'm going to unveil the magic of captivating content, because content is so important in building your brand, building your business, for everything. Beyond social media, we're going to explore a few different things here. So I'll put it to you that alongside your company website, you can have a personal brand, and you can whip it up in 2 hours like I did, a website in 2 hours. Dynamic writing platforms. And what is that? The power of email and newsletter marketing. Really powerful and really, really important. And I show some really interesting examples there, I think. And then the future. So crafting a seamless and sustainable social system, and the rise of AI in social media, the rise of AI in everything. It's phenomenal what's happening there. My journey then, okay, so before, after. Prior to 2018, when I set up my business, I worked in tech sales. So I worked for a multinational company. I was selling database technology, had my kids, was commuting 4 hours a day into work. Always been a creative person. So I set up a website on Etsy and I started selling. My first child was born, and a week later, I started doing jewelry classes. So I started selling on Etsy. And within a year, I'd sold 1,500 pieces. And that's when I was like, oh, e-com, that's amazing. I was still in work at this stage. This was just my creative side. So I discovered the power of social media to sell. Instagram was just starting at that stage. So I was working in my sales role, but I just started, social media, it was huge. And I was blessed enough and I was lucky to get into a community in the UK. I'm in Ireland, but in England, I joined a community of what's called digital mums. So we were skilling up on social media together. And that was a core that was a really defining moment for me. So I was learning all of this social media stuff and I was working in corporate sales. So I started becoming the person in the teams who was like, oh, Margo knows about Twitter. She knows about Instagram. Get her to do this. It was just starting. And all of a sudden it was like, use social media to sell. How can we use it in a corporate environment to sell? So it was a really exciting time. So I was on LinkedIn from the very beginning and just using it to sell. So I've a lot of knowledge there. So I set up my social media marketing agency when I left corporate world in 2018. My first client was Cisco, and I've just completed a 5-year contract with Cisco. So I continued working with multinationals, and I've also, like, I've worked with 1 and 2 person brands, and what I've kind of done is I've managed to blend the creative side of me with the corporate side. And it's really interesting to take the learnings from like Facebook and Instagram, from direct to consumer brands, so from e-commerce across to the more corporate environments. It's really interesting to have that dynamic. So 2019, 2020, I started getting deeper into ads because I really liked the data, the creativity. I could see that organic, it was either going to be my time spent glued to a screen doing social media management for my clients, or I'd be smart about it and I pay to reach audiences. So that was really interesting. But I've always believed in the power of good organic social media to drive good ROI on ads. So I'm not going to spend a penny unless it's fundamentally and foundationally that the organic is driving the business. 2021, 2022, then I moved towards strategy and consulting. I started creating online courses. And I see it in masterminds that I coach in now. We're creating products. If you're a service business, start productizing what you have so that it's earning for you as you sleep. So that's what's happening. Then I suddenly realized, I don't have an audience. If Facebook goes tomorrow, I don't have an audience. What do I do? So this is when I started looking at email and newsletter marketing and started saying, I'm going to build my audience. So this is what it's all about, and this is what I'm surrounded by. So this is why I mentioned it today about email and newsletter marketing, and this is why it's so important. In 2023, then, where I am today, I do social media management and ads via my agency, and I do digital strategy consulting. Conversion copywriting is a huge thing. So I've learned, and actually it kind of fits in with my journey because I was working in corporate sales. So with sales, now I use words to sell. And I kind of discovered that by accident through my journey because I couldn't find the words. I couldn't find the words to sell. And a sales page is supposed to take you from the top of the page to the bottom of the page and sell to you. But I was like, and I outsourced that, but it wasn't coming back properly to me. So that was a huge thing for me. So that's a huge skill. And I started ghostwriting now for brands because I have those capabilities. And so it's interesting to see that I'm having conversations with business owners and I'm taking them right back to the beginning, going, who's your avatar? What's your messaging? What do we want to say here? So I touch on all of this today. So I build brands now, personal brands and company brands. And here at the end, less social, more sales. That's what I'm about. And then just at the bottom, I'm a mom to 3 boys. I live in Kildare in Ireland. I'm just about freedom and creativity. And I love technology, sales and marketing. So that's my journey. Then, okay, so there's about 4 core sections in this presentation. So crafting a stellar social media brand presence, the pitfalls to avoid. So just some insights here and beliefs that I have and what I see. Skip the hard sell on social media. You can't sell. You don't sell on social media. You engage, you don't push. So the hard sell is where you're going out cold and trying to sell your products. And these people have never heard of you before. Social media platforms are media moguls. They're powering their profits through advertising. So know when you're on these social media platforms, this is why organic reach is so low, because they want you to pay for advertising. They are businesses. They're not there out of the goodness of their heart. Just understand that they are powered by advertising. And companies like Google, for example, like 90% of their revenue is coming through advertising. So sometimes you have to play along and understand that that's what drives them. Craft a strategy, and that will be the blueprint to your success. So I always, like I said there, when I speak to businesses, I go right back to the beginning and I go, right, who are we actually talking to and what is the message? And then we can be strategic. Your time, it's your treasure. So navigate the digital realm wisely and the time you've spent on it. Rise, inform, engage, and dare to stand apart in excellence. And that's, we'll see that today. So the first thing to say about social media and the first pitfall is it's rented property. So you don't own it. So it could disappear tomorrow. And I actually had an alert on my LinkedIn account last week. And I think it was because there was some plugin or something. I use no automation on these tools. All of my engagement is organic on these platforms because I'm well aware of it. And it locked me out for 24 hours. And I was like, wow, I haven't done anything. Nothing changed between one day and the next. But I think I put a Chrome plugin, which was, I don't know, it was just summarizing content for me or something. But yeah. So go to LinkedIn after this and download your data. It's there, it's settings, it's data privacy. You can export all your data here. Like this happens regularly on Facebook and Instagram, and I wouldn't have thought it would happen on LinkedIn. But when I thought of it, I was like, oh my gosh, I've been working since 20 years. All my contacts, all my networks are in there. So I went in and I just downloaded them just in case I forgot all the names or whatever. Imagine if that was gone in the morning. So there, I was just so grateful that I'm building my property in email and newsletter marketing again. Another reason to do so. So back into LinkedIn and the good parts of it. There are 3 core areas of focus when you look at your brand and when you look at what you do on social media, on LinkedIn, for example. Step 1 is your profile. So you turn your LinkedIn profile into a lead generation machine. So your profile, your personal profile on LinkedIn, that one page is working all of the time for you. And I'll go through my own profile in the next slide, and I'll talk through the main areas that you need to look at. Step 2, when you think about LinkedIn, it's about content, okay? So it's that content that you post on the feeds so that people don't forget about you. And it's about being consistent, and we can have a chat afterwards and you can ask me any questions about LinkedIn, because I got some questions here that came through from you guys, and a lot was kind of about the workings. So we will go through those questions at the end, no problem at all. So LinkedIn content, yes, being consistent and posting on LinkedIn, it's like this little engine, and it's building this following for you, And then step 3, social selling. So generating more sales conversations with LinkedIn. So your profile and your LinkedIn content and you being consistent with that, that's like inbound marketing. People will see, they will come, they will find you, they will come towards you if your profile is set up in the right way. Then we talk about outbound marketing, and that's really social selling. So outbound sales is you actually investigating, finding the right people, and then reaching out to them, engaging with them. So I would have a cadence where I'm not just on LinkedIn reading the good content, because it is quite good content because I follow quite good people, but I also have a cadence where I am connecting with, I go through phases, but I'm not massively connecting, but I will connect. If somebody interesting comes up in my feed, I will be connecting with them. And there's a whole way of doing that as well. So that's social selling, okay? And those are the 3 core areas of LinkedIn. Just to look at the profile here, and I know it's going to be hard to see, so I've got my little tips down here, so I'll just go through it, okay? And just a whistle stop kind of tour, because this is the whole length of it, right? 1, 2, 3. But just from the top downwards, right? And I'm just going to run through each part. So you optimize your headline and your banner. This is your headline. This is your banner here, okay? And your image. Your image, so they say, be smiley, have it stand out. So I'm recognized because of the green in the background or whatever. There I've got social proof. If you look at my profile afterwards, you'll see I've got social proof across the top, and I just have here what I do. Don't be afraid. Don't think your banner needs to stay the same all the time. Change that banner. And if you've got events, if you've got webinars, use it as it's above the fold. It's there. It's like a big banner, So change it the whole, just change it up and test and see what works. What recently came on LinkedIn was this link out. So there is one link out on your profile. Use that link. If you haven't set it up, it's probably just sitting there not being used. So I have that leading towards my email marketing, and I test that link. You're only allowed, I have there, less social, more sales, free. That's as much as I'm allowed to write there. So A/B test and see, do you actually get subscriptions from that and stuff. So when you post on these platforms, their sole thing is keeping people on the platform, because that's how they earn from the advertising. So be cognizant of that when you're posting. This whole thing with, oh, should I link out, or oh, I won't be seen, or blah. So use the link to be like, I will often say to people, like on a post, if I have a call to action and I want them to sign up to my email list, I would say use the link in my bio, or follow me. That's my call to action on LinkedIn as well. So I kind of stick with the rules and go, okay, I'll keep the algorithm happy as long as it shows my content to more people. It used to be that there was a big blue button here, the connect button, and you could change it in settings to be follow. But they've changed in the last year so that they're making us more like content creators. So it's not the connect. If you, there's a little button which says that you could be a content creator or whatever. So I tick that button so that when people now come to my profile, they just see the follow button first. I don't want to be connecting. I don't connect with people unless I know them. So you know the way you get these random connections, unless they give me a message, because I do look at the profile. I don't want people in my connections unless they are relevant. And the reason for that is because, again, the algorithm and the content that I get shown is based on the people who are within my connections. So I don't want to be shown stuff, or I don't want people who are not outside of my sphere of influence seeing stuff from me. It's just not relevant. So I'd prefer to be seen by the right people. So I'm protective of my connections, but follows, I love follows. So yeah, let's get follows. With the whole focus on content as well, this is quite interesting. So you get this featured section, which is quite high up in your page. Use that. And the way I kind of look at that is, usually I would have maybe 3 pieces of content there. Those pieces of content would be my sales funnel. So what is top of my sales funnel, middle of my funnel, and bottom of my funnel? If I'm selling something, put it in your featured section. And don't be leading off to other people and promoting other people, i.e. like if you've got an article somewhere and you just say, oh, I'll just lead off to that. You're actually driving people away from you and away from your stuff. So the featured section, I see it as like a shop front. Use it for your stuff and for what you're promoting and whatever is going on. At the moment, I've got my LinkedIn course up there. That's what I've left it there, but at least it's my content. Then as we move down along, you've got your activity section here, and that's just all what you post. Your about section, often people forget to put in a summary. It's here, write a compelling summary. How can you add value to somebody? That's what you put in your summary. It's your story, it's your voice, but it's like how you can help people. So that's what your about section would be about. Then further down, you've got your skills and experience and your recommendations. Get recommendations. And you can switch on and switch off your recommendations depending on what stage you are in your business, or maybe you're going after a certain type of client and you've got a recommendation from them. You don't have to have them all switched on at the one time, but recommendations are so powerful as well. It's telling the algorithm, it's telling LinkedIn that you've gotten recommendations from these people, and if jobs are, if jobs, roles, whatever, or business comes up, it's giving information, right? In terms of like tips for getting recommendations, some people, they know how to give great recommendations, so you can let them write it. Other times, put in keywords, ask people, say, I would love if you focused on this part of it. This is what I need for, and people will write you a beautiful recommendation, The other thing I have down here is use keywords throughout your profile. Think of your LinkedIn profile as SEO. So if you go into Google and type in your name, the first link that will show up is probably LinkedIn. That's how huge it is. So it is search engine optimized, okay? But also the keywords are used by LinkedIn to find you in the feeds. So the keywords that you have in posts, the keywords that you have throughout your profile, and especially on your headline. So just to go back here, this is at the very top. This is your headline under your name. It tells who you help, essentially. So write down, I say what I do, and then the rest is kind of keywords. So it's social media agency and digital consulting, social media strategy, and I talk about ads as well, because I want to be found for those keywords. Okay. So overall, then, that's your profile. And the top tip for your profile is keep it up to date. Don't be afraid to change it. Ask yourself, every month or so, kind of go, right, has my focus changed? Am I representing myself properly? Am I being found? Look at the stats. Stats are at the top there of your profile, at the very top, and just see, it'll give you a little screenshot of, okay, your impressions are up, or how many people have viewed your profile, or stuff like that. Keep an eye on it, because it could be quite interesting. And then, yeah, be active on LinkedIn. And what I mean by be active on LinkedIn is when I post, and now I'm at a kind of a cadence, and it's quite easy for me to post 7 times a week. And that used to be very stressful for me before, but I'm going to show you how to create content, and I'll give you some ideas about content. But it's a lot easier for me now because I have a system in place. But before I post, it's well worth my time, like 20 minutes before or so, and like 10 minutes before and 10 minutes afterwards, to just look at my feed and start engaging with people on my feed as well. Just to be active, again, kind of playing with the algorithm a little bit, to be like, oh, and actually, do you know what? I like it. And it's actually nice to connect with people and have a little chat in the morning, whatever, while I have my coffee, and then go about my day. And I've done my bit, and my profile will do the rest. So hopefully that's a good overview. I'm sure you might have questions, so we can go through those questions afterwards, and happy to answer those, no problem at all. So just 5 top things about the LinkedIn algorithm in 2023 as well. Some of these you might know, some you might go, oh, that's interesting. So it prioritizes content from your connections and the people you follow and interact with. So make sure you connect with the right people. So engage often with your connections posts. So that's what I do. I engage with them in the morning for 10 minutes, whatever. Number 2, it rewards knowledge-rich posts that are relevant to your interests. So update your profile with relevant skills and job details. Again, your profile, keeping it relevant. So LinkedIn, the algorithm, is working a way to make sure that you stay on there as well. So it's trying to put knowledge-rich posts in front of you to keep you interested. It's doing its job, Number 3, it considers the likelihood of engagement when ranking posts. So action, like, comment, and share posts you truly resonate with. Okay, so when you post on LinkedIn, unlike the other platforms, there is an editorial team. So they are checking, the posts. There's also like the bots, the robots or whatever. And there's a certain algorithmic, they start ranking it straight away from when it posts. So sometimes when you post something on LinkedIn, you don't see it for about 10 minutes because there's something going on in the background where they're looking at it. They're seeing, oh, who within your connections would start engaging with that? Who would find that interesting? And they start pushing it out. So all that is going on in the background, whatever magic is going on. So just know there is a lot going on. So when you do put out content, make sure that it's good content. And we go through that in a sec. So it is constantly evolving and improving. Stay active and adapt to LinkedIn's new features. Now, don't get bogged down in that. Just follow 1 or 2 people who know about LinkedIn and who post about the latest stuff, and you'll see it anyways, because everyone starts talking about this stuff when it happens. It's possible to influence the algorithm. So share great content and engage, and you'll get seen more. And it does. Sometimes it's like, oh God, nobody is seeing this. And yes, impressions have dropped massively, but I think it's actually better because they're doing more screening, and they're, more relevant people are finding me now, whether it's the way that I'm behaving or whether they've actually got the algorithm has got better, whichever, it's quite good at the moment. So just in general, and I said no hard sell on social media. I just want to show you this here. This is Sprout Social. So this is social media management, right? This is the social media suite, okay? And the reason I love it and I love working with my clients on this is because it's all about the customer and it's all about conversations. So sales is about conversations, about having actual conversations with people. So it's hard to see here, but this is Smart Inbox. So when I work with clients, all of the conversations are coming into one area, all the messages here. So it's about being responsive. So when these messages come through, I'm engaging, the client is engaging, whoever, responding to all these questions. So this is where I spend my time. I don't spend my time on social media. I spend my time in my inbox, which is this is conversations with the customer. And underneath all of these messages, you have this function here. So I just want to show you here. So the social media management suite is linked up to the support system. That could be Zendesk customer service. It could be linked up to your CRM. So if a lead comes through to our team for a client, we route that lead straight to the customer. So I just wanted to show that, just to show actually within an agency how we work and think about, social media conversations. It's not just like engagement and likes and numbers and all of that. It's about the conversations, because conversations convert into sales. Okay. So I just wanted to show that there. So the second part I want to talk about is creating captivating content. Okay. And I'm just going to talk through this here. Okay. So what is captivating content? This is a kind of term I've just coined myself. I think it represents what I'll show you here. So captivating content is all of these things, right? It's value oriented, and this comes into me learning copywriting and how powerful the written word can be to actually sell. So captivating content is value oriented. So it ensures your content adds significant value to the reader, listener, or viewer. So always think when you're creating content, is there value to the avatar, to the end user? Address their needs, their answers, their questions, and solve their problems. So before I write a piece, and I do a lot of blogging now as well, I start a blog by writing down what's the biggest problem the client has. What am I talking about? What is the actual problem that the audience has? And write it down as simple as possible. And that kicks off the thought process, and I build my content around that. 2, expert positioning. So display deep knowledge in your industry or niche. So showcase success stories, results, and testimonials to strengthen your authority. Okay. So it's not top level content. It's getting deep, because when you speak about the actual problems your avatar has and you position yourself as being an expert in that space, that's really powerful. And I'm going to show you examples across different industries as well. And I'll show you content before and content afterwards, kind of applying this sort of thinking. Aspirational and informative. It should inspire and motivate the audience towards their goals. Offer practical information and actionable takeaways. This is very much so on LinkedIn. At the moment, LinkedIn always was like, people are on there to learn, they're there to be inspired and to be educated. On LinkedIn especially, they're there to learn. It's mainly a B2B audience. They're in business, they're at work, but they're curious and they want to learn. So just have that in mind. Diverse formats. So think of the way that people like to uptake in content. And we often see with videos, actually think of how people are viewing. Think of how you view it yourself. The way I watch an Instagram video or TikTok video is very different. It's a very different time as well. I might have the phone, I shouldn't have it in bed maybe, or whatever. And I might look at my phone, I might be looking at something on Instagram. I don't have sound on because I don't want to wake the hubby. I don't want to have a fight with my husband, So think it has to have captions. LinkedIn as well. Yeah, people are in work. They don't always have their headphones on. Captions are so important. So little things like that. So 1, it's the content and having great content, but 2, it's actually thinking about how people are viewing the content. Think about it. Specificity, I can barely say the word. Being specific. Being specific. When you are specific and when you call out, we see this in ads. When you call out to someone, entrepreneurs, hello there, or, attention, and you call out attention material scientists. I'm writing some ads today for material scientists. When you actually go and call out, that stops, they see the words, and it works when you are specific with who you're targeting. Being authentic, let your unique personality and brand voice shine through. Never before has it been more important, especially with AI. AI can produce content faster than we can. So, but your unique voice, personality, and brand voice can shine through. Consistency, regularly update and share new content. So when you see, when you see old content, you can tell it's old by the way it is. So putting 2023 in there, just thinking, put that in there, that it's the latest content. Going back and updating blogs, it could be the same content, just refresh them, refresh your content, repurpose your content. So I'm going to show you examples of good and less captivating. So captivating and less captivating. Thumbs down for something like this, automation tools for entrepreneurs. Okay, it's calling out to entrepreneurs, which is great. But look, you can make it so much more specific and kind of more relevant. 5 must have. Yeah, I'm interested in that because I'm an entrepreneur and I don't know. So yeah, it makes me kind of curious. Automation tools for entrepreneurs in 2023. It just is more specific. It's in the time it's now. How to automate your sales funnel versus 3 immediate benefits of automating your sales funnel today. And that is the exclamation mark adds urgency. So just adding these certain things, really thinking about it. Yeah. Why you should invest more in marketing automation versus why 4 out of 5 entrepreneurs are investing more in marketing automation this year. It's stronger. This is an example of an Instagram carousel. And I want to show you this because it shows the time and effort that goes into creating content like this. So this is with a client that we work with. And before this, she's written a book about money and all of that. So she has all of this great content. But she wanted to go deeper with her content. She wanted to create more captivating content. She wanted to educate her audience and get the right people, like her top tier avatar, interested in and pull closer to her so she could get them on her email list, essentially. So that's what we're doing with this content. So instead of just, I'm using everything that I showed you there about captivating content. The 5-minute, making it easy for the audience to go, 5 minutes, money habit that will change your life. Wow, that's a big statement. I'm gonna hit that carousel. I'm gonna swipe. Discover the small shift. So you can see there's not loads of text here. This is Instagram. It's on your mobile phone. People are just like swipe, swipe, swipe. On Instagram, carousels do really well because what will happen is the first time the person is viewing their feed, this shows up. The second time, so it gets loads of exposure. Something like this. So carousels are really good on Instagram. But every single piece here is there for a reason. And there was a lot of thought went into creating this carousel. Just to show you here, found this useful. So this is the call to action. And you might think, oh yes, I'll leave that out sometimes or whatever, Tap the save icon to come back to it later. Like this is the psychology of sales. Tell people what to do. Make it easy for them. Tell them. And are they going to save this? Yes, they are. So by telling people to save, they do. They saved it 61 times. So that's our highest performing carousel in months because, she's told people to save it. So they've saved it. What has that done? A few different things have happened now when they save this, okay? This tells the algorithm, that these people are interested in it. But this is really important organically because later we will use these audiences for ads. So we can go into the back end now and say, Facebook or Instagram, give me an audience of people who saved posts in the last month. And it will know who those people are. So we can retarget those people with an ad. Not only that, we can say, give me an audience, a lookalike audience of those people. And it will build out an audience of thousands of people who are highly relevant. We will put other criteria against it, i.e. that they have a certain spend limit or whatever, and we will build out great audiences for ads. So therefore, the organic content, when it is doing its job at the beginning and building up the right audience, then everything is good. Now, you might say, well, this is a business. This is a personal brand. This is a personal brand behind this. And, people are buying off of this. Yes, she sells books and all of this, but she is selling her presence. So even though we might sometimes think that Instagram, oh yeah, you're selling services or you're selling products, whatever, it's the same thing goes for your personal brand on Instagram, for example. And it's the same with LinkedIn ads. That's just showing that there. But the other thing to notice here is the profile activity. So 41 of those people clicked on the actual to look at her profile. And of course, on her profile, we have one call to action, which is get on the email list, or whatever the call to action is. That will change coming up to Christmas, and if she launches a new book. But all this thought goes into creating this content for whatever the business objective or the goal is at the end. But we are building this data up so that we're ready to capitalize on it when the time needs to be. So captivating content then. I'm just going to show you the various stages of the actual funnel and the way you need to think about content. Because the content, I've showed you captivating content and how to kind of write it with numbers and make it specific and all of that. But you also have to think about you have different followers as they move through the purchase cycle or the customer journey, okay? At the top, you want to grow demand. You want to get attention. So the content you create there is focused on getting more followers. So it's a different type of content. And if you look at the examples here, it's that kind of content which grabs people's attention, brings new people into the audience. Because when we took over this audience, it was at 27,000 followers already on this brand. So it's like, oh, we've got 27,000 followers. And what starts happening when you grow to a certain level on these platforms is you get kind of penalized organically because they want you to be buying, to spend on ads. So we had to take things back to basics and go, right, okay, the followers that we've been getting, they weren't really the right followers. So we go back to creating the best content and get the right followers. So it's very important to get the right followers, okay? Then those followers, we want them to move them down the funnel. We want to start converting them. And the conversion in this instance, it doesn't have to be sales. It might be get them onto the email list. Once they're on our email list, that's gold. So how will you get people on an email list? It's deeper content. We have to start thinking, oh, how will we get them from just being followers and flicking on our stuff to actually giving us their email address? And then we have to think of how do we retain and loyalty then? So how can we get, if a person spends with us once, they buy the book, well, we want them to buy the course. So then it's different content again. So we start getting into success stories, case studies, and really telling the story of the brand, okay? And then you'll see the green here, just to show you what I said there about really think about the content as well, the content format, the content type that you put out, okay? Then I've got another one here. I'm just going to flick through this quickly, but just to show you again that I've showed you Money Mindset. This is e-commerce, a digital marketing agency, for example, who caters to women's brands and kids' brands. Again, same thing here, the content focused on sales funnel and again, and look, I've just got emojis there to show it can have a different feel to it. And again, the type of content there. So the formula for creating captivating content, because that's the interesting part, right? So understanding the avatar. So we do an avatar exercise to really understand their dreams, their fears, their aspirations, all of that. And then what you do is you look at you understand your audience, the avatar, and your perspective. And what I mean by your perspective here is your story, your background, your beliefs, your point of view. And those two combined, when you get those right, you get captivating content. It becomes easier to create this content. And content is at the back of everything. So again, I just have them kind of listed here just to reiterate again. So your audience and your perspective. And I just want to show you then how this actually comes together, like as a content strategy. You would have your unique value proposition and your point of view. right? And this is the foundation of everything. So for a natural skincare brand, for example, unique value proposition, it's a special recipe. It tells what you do, for whom, and how you stand out. If it doesn't resonate with your audience, it's time for a tweak. And this is the hardest thing to get right. And if you can see here, it's in one paragraph. So we keep it, it doesn't need to be a long story. What is your unique value proposition for this natural skincare brand? Get it down to a paragraph. And then I've just put this on the right here so you can see. So the point of view is like, it's a stronger belief. It's the backstory to your unique value proposition. It's like the real market need. So you can see here, even in the words, it's like they've got a very strong point of view. Because when you've got a strong point of view, and when you talk about that point of view in the content that you produce, you attract the right audience. You attract the people who believe in the messages that you're putting out. So I just wanted to show you that. I know it's a lot. There's a lot of words here, but it's because I believe so strongly in the content, and we see it in the results. And this is what will differentiate you, your brand, whether it's a personal brand or a company brand. It really does make a huge difference when it comes to everything social media, organic, paid, etc. So I promised you I would show you how to build audiences in various ways. So these are the different ways, right, to build an audience. And okay, I'm going to show you. I mentioned at the beginning how your personal brand website versus a business website, right? You can whip up a personal website. You can do it for free on Google Sites. I did it myself, did it a few weeks ago, and I created my personal brand. I have a brand I have my website there. I must update my website for the business, but that seems like it's more important for me at the moment. My personal brand is so important because I'm getting business from that, and I'm getting it from LinkedIn, etc. So I just wanted to show you there. It's Google Sites. I was well impressed with it. It's easy. You just set up a website and you can have it set up. And you can check out mine, digitalwithmargo.com. Simple, easy, quite interesting. Then I talk about writing platforms, okay? This is another way that you can extend your brand. This is Medium. So Medium is a publishing platform where people can read important, insightful stories and the topics that matter to most today. So I've always used Medium. I've paid for it. It's like $40 a year or something. I just like the writing that's on there. I follow certain people. It was only a few months ago as I understood my messaging, and I did the same exercise that I've showed you with all of this stuff. I've learned all this because I do it with my clients, and I've done it myself. And I just started writing, and it really is a habit, and getting your words out. And the reason I really like Medium, I was daunted by it at the beginning, but just I understand my UVP, I understand my point of view, and I started writing about it. And it's really interesting because Medium doesn't have followers like on social media. It's not my friends and my family. So they're not liking my stuff because they like me. They're liking my stuff because what I'm saying is resonating. So I'm watching that audience. So you get paid for writing on Medium, but I earn $1 a month or something. I'm only starting out there, but it's a brilliant place to test and start testing, kind of in a safe way as well. You're writing, well, not really in a safe way, but and it's really, really interesting for me because I'm learning how to write headlines. And this is all that people see. So are they going to stop? Are they going to read? So when I go in weekly, I'm not like stuck to it. And I do have a cadence. I'll write a few articles, but the articles that are right there are actually brilliant for my social media, for my posts. I just adapt them and put them then on my LinkedIn. So that's why I'm not short of LinkedIn content, because I have my articles there and I have loads of content there. So I'm just showing there. It's another interesting area, and it could be worth looking at. So then we move on to email marketing and newsletter marketing. And I want to show you what's happening in this industry, okay? Newsletter marketing. Milk Road was a newsletter. It was set up back in last year, I think. It sold for 8 figures in 10 months. This is what it looks like. It was all about crypto. I had actually been in a copywriting class with Shane Puri, who set up Milk Road. it was really interesting to see how quickly that newsletter sold for 8 figures in 10 months. This is content. This is like getting in on a market and building a presence. And that's how quickly it can sell. Okay. So when you look at newsletter marketing, all these companies, Beehive, you can go on there and set up a newsletter. On Substack, newsletters. Active Campaign is email and newsletters, and then ConvertKit. Okay. All those names, I know I've thrown them out there. My own newsletter is on ConvertKit. And I moved from Active Campaign actually. And the reason I moved on to ConvertKit is I really like their story. But what they're also doing is they've given me this page. So this is my page. So I'm giving value to people. You can take a picture of that and you get taken to it. That's my QR code for it. But I get a page on their site, but they're also doing a huge amount of stuff with creators. Okay. So there's a whole community of people, and there's all this recommendation and referrals going on as well. So my email list is growing because I'm present on here. People are recommending me to their audiences, and I'm recommending other people. It's really, really interesting to see this movement going on. In the last few weeks, ConvertKit has bought Sparkloop, which is a whole referral thing as well. So there's monetization of newsletters going on here. So I'm just showing you this. You might be aware, you mightn't be, but I think it's just blown my mind, this whole area of newsletter marketing and email marketing. Okay. This is my newsletter, and I won't go into detail. You can sign up whichever, but just to say that and it looks really long here, I've learned an awful lot about how to structure this. It's got a high engagement rate and it's really interesting. And I've kind of got it now to a stage where there's huge value in this. So the difference between a newsletter and an email marketing, okay? So what's the difference between the two? Email marketing, you extract value. You build your email list and you sell through your email. Okay, you can do all of this wonderful thing, list building, subscribers, you can segment, you can learn about your audience. All of that goes on in email marketing. The big difference between email marketing and newsletter marketing is you give value. So you saw mine, I'm there, I'm giving huge value weekly in my newsletter. You give value, you nurture that audience. The reason that I did that was because I wasn't sure of my offering, and I have different offerings, and I've been building out my business and working on it. But it suited me to be building the audience, giving value, and now I'm very clear on what I do. So I have a very structured newsletter and I can keep up with it. So I just wanted to point those out because that was a big learning for me, because I was really, really confused at the beginning, going like, email marketing, is it not the same as newsletter marketing? But so it's interesting, but I could do a whole session on that whole thingy, but yes. So we're coming to the final section here, the future, efficient and sustainable social media management. So my message, be productive, not just busy on social media. It's important that you be strategic with the time spent. Schedule, watch, and dive deep and master social media with the right tools. So you saw, I showed you the inbox, smart inbox, all of that. Those, yeah, just be clever with your time. Engage and connect. So harness tools to spark conversation on social media. And LinkedIn is brilliant for that. It is a great networking tool. Seamless integration of social media, customer care, and CRM. So I showed you that with the smart inbox. These tools are there. They keep me away from social media, yet they keep me close to the customer. Purposeful engagement versus endless scrolling. So know the difference and thrive. And just to mention, right, the role of AI and automation in social media and where it's going. Embrace AI tools for content suggestions, timings, and engagement. So yes, I hop into ChatGPT. I use Bard. You know, I research. It's amazing for telling me about audiences and learning. But we have to ensure the human touch remains in these automated processes. But I want to show you, we think of like ChatGPT, think of the tools, that there you go. But this is social media management. And you can see here, right, I type in what my message is to go out on Instagram or whatever. And here there's AI assist. So these tools now have AI built into them. So you click on that and it gives me 3 different variations of the post. It's just amazing. These tools keep appearing, and I'm like, oh, I click on the buttons, and I'm like, oh my God, this is just, yeah. So that's what's happening. And then my parting pearls of wisdom, content captures heart. So dive into the world of captivating content. So when you're creating content, create good content. Nurture connections, make customers the heartbeat, stay close to the customer, use the tools. Don't just spend time on social, invest it wisely. And then celebrate, connect, and commit. Um, so that's it. So thoughts, questions, anything you want to ask me? Sorry, I went on a little bit, Nicole.
No, Margo, this was amazing. And the chat is blowing up. We have so many questions. I think there's just so much amazing information here. I know that we only have about 6 minutes left, and I just want to be mindful of time, but we have questions, and I will just say before we dive into them, would it be all right if I'm going to keep the questions and share them with you, Margo, after the fact, just in case there's anybody who you want to connect with one-on-one, but I think that I'll just sort of start sharing them out. And if you want to answer whichever ones, that would be amazing. So Alexis asked, do you just connect with this was earlier in their presentation. Do you just connect with everyone you want to know? This is LinkedIn. Or is there a way to invite people to your company page without being connected, like to get a larger number of people?
To your company page or to your profile page?
And Alexis, you can totally chime in if you want to here. I think she was
Yeah.
specifically asking about your company. Go ahead.
Sarah, your company page.
So your company page, is it?
Yeah, well, I'm just thinking that's where I'll be posting most of the content related to my company.
Yeah, on the company page. So you want to know how you can get more followers, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of yes, like on your company page, putting out interesting content. So there are a few company pages, if you look at them, that do it really well. So oh, you send me an email after, connect with me afterwards or whatever we will do it. There's so much I could talk to you about. But in terms of the actual company page, what I see working with companies is being consistent with content. So I'll give you an example. I work with a construction company, okay? And we have consistently, we have like 6 content buckets, and we put out content 5 days a week. And it has just grown kind of organically. So it's the content you put out being interesting, attracting the right audience. Then what you can do in the back end of the company pages as well is that you, as the director of the company, have you seen that there's a function there that you can invite your connections?
Right. That's what I'm saying. You can invite your connections, but if you're not connected, how, besides just posting, can you get people to notice your page? Because some people might not, if you're not connected, you might message them and say, hey, follow my page, but they are gonna be like, who is this? So
yeah, there's no shortcut. And the reason that LinkedIn pages are there, right, is because you need a LinkedIn page to advertise. So LinkedIn wants you to advertise. So if you are focusing anywhere, it's on your your personal profile page is actually to get more connections. So you, as the business owner, get more connections and then start inviting those connections. So once you have the connections, nurture them through the content you put out. Another thing that people do is, like, I might be the admin on a page, or they might have an employee who's also an admin who's well connected. And they might get the admin to the other person. So if there's 2 founders or whatever, that's another way. Yeah.
Okay.
But the reach on a page is a lot less than the reach on the personal brands, because LinkedIn knows that why people come to LinkedIn is not really to learn about companies. They're there to talk to other people, and network.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Cool.
And another question we have from Carrie is, how does LinkedIn factor into e-com businesses versus service providers?
Yes. Yeah, LinkedIn is as good for e-com as it is for service providers. Okay, that's the first thing. And even in my newsletter there about 3 weeks ago, I sent out about this guy who's an e-com founder, and he's got a huge personal brand, and all the business is going back to his t-shirt shop. Yeah, so again, you're a person who's growing a business, and he puts up videos of himself packaging up the t-shirts and stuff. And he's thriving, So yeah. equally e-com as much as B2B services.
Wonderful.
You can grow.
Thank you, Margo. We have
Yeah.
another question from Raquel, a two-parter. So she says, I have a personal LinkedIn profile and one for my company that I don't have time to pay attention to. I think you answered this. Should I focus on my personal profile and delete the one for my company? I'm a solopreneur, so my company is really me. The part two is it awful to post the exact same content on LinkedIn and Instagram? My client is high-level professionals and ambitious younger professionals that aspire to get there soon, for context.
Yeah. So the first part of that question, don't delete your page. You need a page if you do advertising. I've got a page on there and I don't do any for my agency. I don't do any. It's not important to me. You pick. Be strategic about where your people are and where they will engage. Do you yourself engage on a LinkedIn page? Think about it. And if the people aren't going to engage there, then don't do that. For me, being strategic, it's my newsletter weekly, and doing that brings me business. So that's what I'm focused on. So just be specific and honed in on what will bring. You don't need to be on every platform and then going off to TikTok and all of that. No. You don't need. Then the other part of that question, what was that, Nicole, again? Sorry.
Yes, no worries at all. And here, let me just scroll right back up here. Oops, and I just lost it. So she was just wondering if it's awful to post the same exact content on LinkedIn and Instagram.
Okay, so if the content is, if you think about it, if it's captivating content, right, you just have to repurpose. You have to think of Instagram, the Instagram user. So what I'm doing with for example, the money mindset coach, okay, you saw the Instagram carousel. So that was a carousel. I would not post that as a carousel on LinkedIn. I would post it as a text, and I would change up the hook, and because it's different. So if you look at the content you see yourself on LinkedIn that stops you and that you read, it's kind of like stories. Or so it's the same content, but you just change it and repurpose it for the platform that you're putting it out on. Now you can also put it out as a carousel. You just have to change the dimensions so that, because it's very much on LinkedIn, it's like, yeah, the mobile, the kind of the different dimensions. But yeah, so it's the same content. It's good content. It's your avatar and your message, right? And you've all that sorted out. You just repurpose it. So what we would put out on Instagram one week would look very different, but it would be the same content. We might put it out the next week. So you'll never be short of content.
Thank you, Margo. Just a couple more, and I know some people have to hop, so thank you all for joining. If you're hopping, thank you. It was great to see you. A couple more questions. Libby asked, can you talk about using Sales Navigator to connect and create new followers and connections?
Yeah, so Sales Navigator is a paid for tool from LinkedIn. And Sales Navigator, like if you think about LinkedIn is like a huge database of people, right? So with Sales Navigator, you pay for Sales Navigator. It's very much social selling. You can create lists of people, you can follow people, you can connect with people, you can send them messages directly. So that's what Sales Navigator is. It's a sales tool, and it's a demand generation, lead generation, you reaching out to people, having conversations with people, getting them to connect with you, and your content that you put out after that kind of engages them, or sending them direct messages and giving them an offer.
Thank you. Wonderful. Libby also asked, do you pay for Google Sites, or is that free?
That's free.
Okay.
Now, I'm not sure if that's because I'm on Workspace or whatever, like I'm on Google Workspace. Although my son was a few weeks ago, he was talking about creating a site, and he said, Mommy, have you heard of sites? I'm going to create a site on there. So he must have done it for free because, yeah.
Amazing.
And what's brilliant about Google Sites actually is that the mobile, you just create it like you're creating a page. It took me 2 hours, and you just look at it on mobile. It's beautiful. The one thing you might have to do is pay for the domain, right? So you register your domain. So I decided, okay, I want digitalwithmargo.com. Purchase that for $20 or whatever for the year, and I just redirect that to the sites.google thing that I had set up.
Love that. Thank you. And then what our very last question, I think, is, and from Alexis too, why wouldn't you combine email marketing and a newsletter to include selling points and also give value in the same message?
Like the people who are on my newsletter, okay, and they've been receiving it for a while, like they do respond to my newsletter. And a lot of the response has been, Margo, you never sell to me, and that's why I love you've given me so much value, okay? But I will sell to them. It's just they don't even notice it because they're like, oh, she's giving me, and they buy from me, you know. So I do put in sales messages, but I don't. The newsletter is there to give value, and I purposely will not. However, they are on my list. I've given them so much value. There is nothing to stop me now to start sending them emails, but I will do it very carefully because, you know, and the newsletter, you can ask questions at the top. You can start getting information from your audience. You can start segmenting it, and then you start selling to them because you will only put information and send them emails which are very relevant to their needs. So that's how you can combine them to sell.
Amazing. Our very last 2 points are related. So Alexis is curious about what sort of entry point it looks like to work with you. And I'm assuming, and if you want to tell everybody how they can get in touch with you, I think that would be great if they want to potentially work with you.
Yeah, so Digital with Margo, there's my URL at the bottom, or reach out to me on LinkedIn, guys, Margo Mulvihill there. Yeah, and I'm in Dreamers and Doers. So please, yeah, get in touch.
Amazing. And Raquel says she's subscribing to your newsletter right now.
Oh, thank you.
This is amazing. Margo, thank you so much for all the incredible wisdom and expertise shared today. It is so appreciated. There are so many messages in the chat just saying how wonderful this was and how helpful this was. And people are like already updating their LinkedIn as we're on the event still. So just thank you for your time and sharing your time in this way. And thank you to everyone for joining us. And I will wrap us up, but it was wonderful to see all of you. Thank you again, Margo.
Thank you. Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.